Okay, this is the last part of the TinkerBAR assembly process. This is the chicken loop and center line assembly. That's the chicken loop and center line assembly. And to start things off, you of course would have a semi-completed bar at this stage right here. And then walking through our tools and materials here, we have a needle nose vice grip, standard needle nose pliers, a small jeweler's type needle nose, number 1 Phillips head power screwdriver, great if you have it, also number 1, some marine grease. We've got a small music wire here. You can use a strong fishing line or some strong thread of some kind in place of this, and then we have a cigarette lighter here. So let's go ahead and clear the bench here, and we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and just set this aside for right now, clear out most of our tools here. And the cup here, if you want it, you can put your nuts and bolts and screws in there so they don't get lost. I'm just going to leave mine in the bag for right now. But go ahead and get some of the parts out. We want our chicken loop, which is there. And then we want the internal part right there. That is the line. And then we're also looking for a little triangle like that. So first thing, go ahead and get this tape off of here. That's just on there to help give this some memory. And then we want to go ahead and we've got to run this part here. We've got to run it all the way through that black thread there. And you can see the braided part here. That braided part we want to kind of keep maybe approximately in the middle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my music wire, and it's got a small hook on there that I did for myself, and I'm just going to go ahead and push it right through, and it comes out the other end. And then I'm going to go ahead and hook on to my line right there, and then fishing line works well for this as too. And then we're going to go ahead and run that through, and I've got a little screw right there in the workbench, and then that way I can just push this right on up to the end like that. And then from here we go ahead, and then we want to try to get this up as much as we can, tight as we can, because this next part's not going to be real easy. So what we got to do is we've got to thread this thing into the triangle. And so what we do is we just push it through the center of the triangle like this, and then it comes over the top here, and then like that. But right now I can't do it because actually what I have to do, this part's in the center, I actually have to take where my thumb is here, my left thumb. I got to be able to push that over the edge. I can't quite do it, and the reason I can't is because this black shaft is not pushed hard enough onto the cotter pin here. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put it back on my screw. I'm just going to pull real hard, and I can actually see the black shaft just kind of molding around the cotter pin. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just enough. Then we'll come back to this thing here, and then we'll try it again. And we see we're almost there. It takes a little bit of force, and poof, there I got it. Good. We're on, and we're good to go at that point. And then we can go ahead and put that back up tight on there. And then we're ready for the next line. And we see on this one here, that one also has a braid too. And so we're going to kind of divide this line here. So this is going to be the top part here. And we got maybe like roughly an inch of material up here, and then we've got the braid coming after that, and then run this all the way back down till it loops at that end. So we go ahead and we push that through like that, take the other end, come back through that little loop like that, and zoom in here a little bit so you can see we're pulling it through like that, and then that forms kind of a knot there on the triangle. And then come back through and we check this part, and we got roughly an inch at that end, and that looks pretty good to me. So then we're ready for the next step, and that is the coating that goes over the top of the center line. So this is kind of a similar process here. I'm going to first go ahead and run it through my wire all the way, till it comes out the other end. And then I am ready to hook on to that 1 extra inch of line like that. And then from here, whoops, I slipped off here. Okay, so I got it back on there. Then from here, I put the triangle over my little screw here, and then I pull it all tight, and then I can slide that black shaft right onto the line with the help of that wire. And so it's going a little bit hard right now. So what I am going to do is I am going to reverse the process here, and I'm going to put this here, and then that way it's going to allow me to pull a lot harder. And to do that, I am going to get a little bit of extra line here. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to just get a little extra line and tie it in a little loop here, like so. And then I will reverse it here, like so. And that's going to allow me to put a lot more force onto sliding this up. And this part's off camera, you can't see it happening right now. But I'm putting a lot of tension on that, and it takes a fair amount of tension. Okay, and then when you get it all the way through, pull that and clear it out of the way, you're going to have a little bit sticking out of the end like that. So I'm going to put that back over my screw again, and I'm going to pull it again. Get maybe roughly about 1 inch. And then this is somewhat trial and error. So if this all comes out right from the factory, that's great. But if you can't get about that much distance on there, maybe 3/4 inch here, you may possibly have to trim a little bit here. So how this looks at the other end here is you got this triangle now, and you've got these 2 knots on both ends, and you got both the coated plastic on both sides of it here. So once you get to this stage, then you're ready to go ahead and add the chicken loop housing parts to it, and we'll get those parts out right now. Okay, so what those look like is this right here, and they've got the plastic base on it. So you got to go ahead and peel that off, and if it peels off easily, that's great. This one seems to have gone super easy, which is fantastic if it goes that easily. Sometimes, a lot of times, you got to take a wood chisel to get the parts off. But then from here, you're ready to go ahead and put your screws on. And put the bungee cord up there for now. And I'm going to go ahead and dump these screws into the cup here so I don't lose them. Okay. So what we're looking for is actually these little screws right here, and we'll just do that many for right now. And we've got to go ahead and mount at least one of them into one of the holes here. That one just fell right in there, no problem at all. Get one more in there. That one went in real easy. It's easy to lose these when you flip them over. So what we're going to do here is we've got a couple of channels everything needs to fit. So we got this big part fitting into the big hole here. Zoom in here. So we got the big part here fitting into this hole, and then the triangle here like that. So we're going to put that in there like that, and then this is going to come over the top of it like that, and just kind of squeeze it with your hands. And then we're going to run the screwdriver here, and I'm going to use my power screwdriver because it's a lot faster. Oops, zoom back out here. Yeah, good. And then you can see this one is actually falling out, so I'll get that one lined up, and then I'll put my screw in on that side. Okay, and then do the same for the others. pull them out. So, and when you put that the nuts in, it should be the nylon side is facing up. The shiny side should be facing down. And then we'll get this back here. Get this one. It doesn't take a huge amount of torque. I'm only using, well, I'm on number 7 here, but just enough to get that housing snug. You don't have to put a lot of force because it's only 440 screws. They're not going to be able to take a lot of pressure. And go ahead and get that in there. And then from here, we're ready to add the orange part, which is the slider release, and I'm going to go ahead and break that off. And then we're going to go ahead and get this set up here and install the bungee cord. So go ahead and trim it, go ahead and singe it. And this is a little bit tricky getting this through here. So basically this part's here, this has got to slide through right here like this. And I am just not sliding. It looks clean. There it goes. Okay, so we slide it through like that and make sure the holes line up left to left and right to right. Slide it here and then it comes out in the center there, and then you've got to basically pull it through and then feed it through the other hole that is on the other side there. So I'm going to grab my needle nose pliers here and basically just feed it through that hole. Until it comes back out. There it is. Then I'm going to pull that through. And then on this side here, on the other end, we're going to go ahead and tie a knot. And we want to go ahead and make sure that knot is small, so pull it tight and go ahead and trim it close, singe it, and then go ahead and pull that all the way through. And that should set in there. There it goes, like that. And then it's ready to feed through the orange part. So I go ahead and feed that right there. Pull that all the way through. And then you're ready for your pliers, your vice grip needle nose pliers. And I don't pull this like super tight, but I just kind of snug it up. And then lock it on there, and then you're ready to tie another knot on there and run that up close to the pliers and go ahead and pull it pretty hard and cut it close. And I'm going to go ahead and lock this again with the pliers. Oops. Okay, I'm going to singe it again. Okay. And then push it in there a little bit. And then it snaps in there, and that is good to go. And then from here, we are ready to add the chicken stick. And that chicken stick, here we go. So the chicken stick is going to fit right in here. So that is also a threading process as well. So I'm going to go ahead and singe one end right away. Get that up there. And then just run that all the way through. This one's a little bit harder to do. So just get that through loose like that. And then come through the back side like this and just go right through the opening like that. And then you'll see an opening right. Oh, I lost my other pliers, but that's okay. Okay, so you'll see an opening right there. So we got to go in through that opening and This one seems to be feeding really nice. Okay, I keep feeding that through. And you may have to pull this out and push it back in many times to get this to work right and to get it to come through the other side. But it's going to go all the way through the housing and come out the other side eventually. There it is. So now you can see right there it came out on the other side. So I go ahead and I pull that through a little bit, and then I push it through, pull it through, actually get some more distance here. Maybe about that much, and then go through it that way, the other side, and pull that through, and then it's back to your plastic piece here. So this part here is tricky to get it to go, but you force that into the tube, and it helps a lot if you can pull this tight, and that makes a lot more room inside the tube. So if you can get the one line tight, it's a lot easier to feed the second one through. So I got one line tight, and then I'm just kind of feeding it 1 inch at a time, whoops, and trying to get it to come out the other end. Keep going. Keep going. There, I got it. Okay, so once you get it to come through, go ahead and snug it up. Slide that on. And then from here, you can snug this pretty tight. So go ahead and pull that up pretty tight. And then lock that on like that, and then tie a double knot around it just like this. Pull that through and snug up that double knot. And not super tight, just kind of snug that up. And then roughly 1/8 of an inch there, about that much. Go ahead and singe it again, and you've got the chicken stick installed. And then from here, go ahead and bend this around, and we want to put the cotter pin right through the slider like that, and then the cotter pin, we'll zoom back in here. So the cotter pin is going to go through the slider just like that. And then it needs to go through over the bar like that. Kind of tricky to do. And then you need to get it to come up, and then you got to bend it over. Now the tricky part is the black shaft there. That black shaft can't go above the bar. So right there, that's above the bar. It's going onto the back side of the bar. You don't want that. It needs to actually push up against the bar like that. So it's kind of hard to see, but if you look down through there, you can see it's actually, that black is actually pushing up against the bar. It's not sliding on the back side of it. And then the slider, go ahead, and that will slide right onto there like that, and then you are pretty much good to go. I'm going to go ahead and get that a little bit better here. Okay. Okay, now moving on to the next part here is we got this part here, and we're ready to go ahead and slide that through the TinkerBAR. So we slide that through the center part like that, and then go back to our screw, and we want to pull on that pretty good. We want to try to slide that black line on that screw. Go ahead and zoom back out. And then I'm going to take my vice grip, and about, I don't know, 1/2 inch down, we're going to lock it in place. And then, actually, forgot one thing. Before we do that, we've got to put the slider on. So we're going to go ahead and break off the plastic parts on the slider. This is not slider, a stopper ball. And then, so we get all that cleaned out, and get that cleaned out. And sometimes there's a little bit of extra in there. If you have the extra, mine came out, but if you have some extra, take the pliers and just like push it in there, turn it like this, and you can get that extra bit to come out. So from there, we go ahead and we put this through like that, go over the top like that, just go over the top like that. And then you just get it kind of down and out of the way. Then back to our little screw here. And then we're ready to do some good pulling on this thing here. So pull it good. Get roughly an inch extra hanging out. And then clamp it about there. And then you're ready to put on the top ring. The top ring, you slide it through like that. And then we'll zoom in here. Slide it through like that. And then slide it over the ring like so. And then pull it up like that. And then let this go. And then go ahead and straighten that tube out if you crushed it a little bit. Won't hurt anything. And then wiggle it around a little bit, and that springiness will kind of come back up and set up against that knot. And then this is ready to slide back up to the top, and usually I just put it all the way to the top. And then from there you're ready to add a little bit of marine grease, and I just take a couple of dabs here, usually about like 3 on it. There's 1, 2, 3. And then I just take my hand and I just run it up and down here on this and just kind of work it in all along that plastic. Kind of finicky here on the table, but take that grease, yeah. And we're going to zoom back out. Yeah. And then run your hand up and down there, work that in all up and down on the plastic there. And then once you have that done, then you have pretty much completed your TinkerBAR assembly.